There are creatures in this world that make a person instantly feel an ancient primal horror. Everything inside tightens, your breath falters, and your only desire is to run as far away as possible. These creatures survived the Ice Age, climatic catastrophes, and still remain some of the most perfect predators on the planet. Snakes, they cause fear that is locked within us at the level of instinct. But what if I told you that there are places on Earth where snakes are specifically gathered together by the thousands and sometimes by the hundreds of thousands? But why? What are these places, and why do people risking their lives voluntarily go there? We will talk about this. Subscribe to the channel. It will be interesting. The fear of snakes is perhaps one of the oldest human fears. It appeared long before cities, writing, and states. Our ancestors lived alongside these creatures in savannas and forests, and those who feared snakes survived more often. Thus, fear became a part of us. It is passed from generation to generation almost like an instinct. Scientists conducted experiments with infants and young children. They reacted to images of snakes much faster and more sharply than to images of other animals. The brain is literally tuned to notice a snake before a person has time to realize what they have seen. This is not a superstition and not a weakness. This is an ancient survival instinct. And yet, humanity has not just learned to live alongside snakes. It has learned to use them, to collect, to breed, to get venom, to feed thousands of people, to create a spectacle and even a religion from them. The history of the relationship between humans and snakes is much richer and more complex than just fear. Let us start with science. One of the most famous centers in the world for working with snakes is located in Brazil. This is the Butantan Institute in Sao Paulo. It was founded in the year 1900, and since then it has become one of the main scientific institutions on the planet in the field of studying venom and creating antivenoms. The Butantan Institute did not appear out of luck. At the end of the 19th century, southern Brazil was being actively developed. Workers were laying railroads, clearing jungles, building farms, and they were dying from snake bites in huge numbers. The authorities were forced to find a solution. Thus, the Institute arose. Today, more than 80,000 snakes are kept on the territory of Butantan. This is not a zoo or an attraction, although there is something here for visitors too. First of all, it is a huge scientific laboratory where medicines and serums are made from snake venom. Every year, the Institute produces millions of doses of drugs that save lives all over Latin America. The process of obtaining venom is called milking. A specialist takes a snake, presses its head to the edge of a special vessel, and makes it squeeze its jaws. The venom flows into the container. This is dangerous work that requires vast experience and full attention. One mistake can cost a life. Butantan workers do this daily. The venom of different snakes is used in different ways. Antivenoms are made from the venom of some. From the venom of others, after complex processing, components are obtained for the treatment of heart diseases, problems with blood clotting, and some forms of cancer. The snake, which most people consider a deadly enemy, has actually already saved millions of lives. A similar story unfolded in Thailand. In Bangkok, the snake farm at the Queen Saovaba Memorial Institute is in operation. This institution was founded back in the year 1923 and to this day remains one of the largest producers of snakebite antivenoms in Asia. The Queen Saovaba Institute is located right in the center of Bangkok, within walking distance from busy shopping districts. This in itself is amazing. Hundreds of cobras, vipers, and other dangerous species live just a few minutes' walk from skyscrapers and shopping centers. Every day, demonstration snake milking sessions take place at the Institute. Specialists work with a cobra right in front of the audience. This is done not only for the sake of tourists, although they also come here. This is part of the educational work. Thai people, especially from rural areas, must understand how to behave when meeting a snake and where to go for help. Thailand holds a special place in the world of snake farms. In addition to scientific institutions, python farms are widespread here. Their goals are completely different. This is a commercial breeding of snakes for skin, meat, and trade. Pythons in Thailand. This is a big business with a long history. Python skins are used for the production of bags, belts, shoes, and other leather products that are very expensive. The market is huge. Europe, Japan, the USA, the Middle East. That is why farms arose primarily as a response to demand. Thousands of pythons can be kept simultaneously on such farms, from small to huge ones. Interestingly, breeding pythons on farms, according to some researchers, can be a more environmentally friendly way of producing leather than traditional animal husbandry. Pythons do not require much water, eat rarely, and tolerate captivity well. Of course, this production has its own problems, including ethical ones. Vietnam and China went even further. Here, there are so-called snake villages and farms where snakes are raised like ordinary livestock, for the sake of meat, for the sake of bile, for the sake of blood, for the sake of traditional medicine. In some villages, practically every family keeps snakes in special pits or cages. Le Mat village in Vietnam has been famous for its snake restaurants for several centuries. Foodies and tourists come here specifically. Cobra dishes are served here, fried meat, soup, and those who wish can be poured a shot of tincture with a snake heart that beats right in it. For some, it is a delicacy. For others, it is a shocking sight. In China, the tradition of using snakes in medicine dates back more than 2,000 years. Snake bile, its blood, fat, and skin, are used in traditional Chinese medicine for a wide variety of diseases. The demand for such products is huge, especially among the older generation, which has given rise to a whole industry of snake farms. The Chinese province of Zhejiang, especially the area of the city of Zhixian, is known as the world capital of snake farming. Here, in a relatively small area, hundreds of farms are concentrated where millions of snakes are kept. The annual turnover of this industry is hundreds of millions of dollars. These farms work practically like a conveyor belt. Snakes are bred, fed frogs and small rodents, then slaughtered and processed. Part of the products goes to the domestic market, part to export. Production is put on an industrial basis and differs little from the point of view of organization from an ordinary poultry farm. The matter is arranged differently in India. Here there is a cooperative of snake catchers from the Irula people. This is a small tribe living in the south of the country that has hunted snakes for thousands of years. The British colonial government declared such hunting illegal, which caused huge damage to the Irulas. They lost their main source of income. In the year 1978, when hunting snakes for skin was finally banned in India, the Irula Cooperative was formed. Its main task is to extract snake venom for the production of antivenoms. Catchers go out into the field, catching a snake with their bare hands or with minimal tools, milk its venom, and then release it back. The Irula Cooperative has played a huge role in the fight against mortality from snake bites in India. The country holds one of the leading places in the world in the number of deaths from bites. Every year, tens of thousands of people die from this. The venom extracted by the Irulas goes to laboratories where serums are made from it, which are available even in remote areas of the country. The Irulas keep a special type of knowledge about snakes. They are able to find snakes in places where an ordinary person would see nothing. They know how to read tracks, notice movement in the grass, feel the presence of a snake by the behavior of small animals. This knowledge has been passed down within the tribe for centuries and does not exist in any textbook. Australia, famous for its venomous creatures, also has experience in organized work with snakes. The Australian Reptile Park is located in the state of New South Wales, in the city of Gosford. This is not just a zoo. Venom is produced here for the manufacture of antivenoms that are used throughout the country. More species of venomous snakes live in Australia than anywhere else on Earth. And although there are not as many deaths from bites here as in Asia, this is precisely because the production of antivenoms is established at a high level. The Australian Reptile Park is one of the key participants in this system. The park receives visitors and conducts demonstration feedings and snake demonstrations. But in parallel, serious scientific work is going on here. Employees regularly take venom from taipans, vipers, brown snakes, and other species. This venom then enters the laboratory where vital drugs are created from it. Now, let us talk about places where snakes gather not because people bring them there, but because nature itself creates conditions for this. The most famous example in North America is the Narcisse snake dens in the Canadian province of Manitoba. Every spring in Narcisse, a spectacle unfolds that both fascinates and scares. Hundreds of thousands of red-sided garter snakes crawl out of their wintering dens after a long winter. In some years, up to 75,000 snakes can be observed simultaneously in a relatively small area. The reason for such a concentration is simple from the point of view of biology. In this area of Manitoba, there are deep limestone crevices underground in which the temperature remains stable in winter. Snakes, which are not capable of generating heat on their own, flock here from all around to survive the harsh Canadian winter. In the spring, when the earth warms up, thousands of snakes crawl out practically simultaneously. Males appear first and wait for females. When a female finally crawls out, she is literally besieged by a ball of dozens of males, each of whom strives to be closer than the others. Scientists call this phenomenon a mating ball. The sight is so unusual that Narcisse has become a tourist spot. People specifically come here from different countries to see it with their own eyes. The local economy received an unexpected source of income: hotels, excursions, souvenirs. Snakes, which many are afraid of, have become the breadwinners of an entire district. Similar phenomena happen in other parts of the world. In the mountain regions of North America, rattlesnakes gather in wintering pits in groups of several hundred individuals. In Central Asia, snake wintering sites are found in rock crevices where representatives of several species converge at once. Nature knows how to create its own snake farms. Snake Island off the coast of Brazil deserves a separate conversation. Locals call it Ilha da Queimada Grande. In an area of just over 43 hectares, roughly like 60 football fields, there are between 2,000 and 4,000 golden lancehead vipers, one of the most dangerous snakes on the planet. How did this happen? About 11,000 years ago, the sea level rose and a piece of land was cut off from the mainland. The snakes that lived there were isolated. There were no natural enemies on the island, but there was abundant food in the form of migratory birds. The population grew, and the venom became increasingly powerful as the bird must be killed quickly. Today, the Brazilian Navy officially prohibits civilians from landing on the island. Exceptions are made only for scientists with permission. Several tragic cases involving people who still tried to get there forever cemented the island's reputation as one of the deadliest places on Earth. Snakes hold a special place in many religions and cultures of the world. In India, the cobra is a sacred animal and a symbol of the god Shiva. In the temples of some states, live cobras live, which are fed milk and flowers. Believers approach them, bow, and sometimes touch them. And the snakes, as a rule, do not touch people in such places. In the American state of Kentucky and some other southern states, there are Christian sects practicing snake handling during worship services. Followers believe that faith protects them from bites. Some of them have indeed handled snakes for years without consequences. Others die. But the practice continues to this day. In Thailand and Myanmar, there are so-called snake monasteries, where Buddhist monks live side by side with pythons. One of the most famous abodes is in Myanmar. Here, several large pythons are considered sacred incarnations and live right in the temple, where hundreds of pilgrims come. The tourist aspect of snake sites cannot be underestimated. Many farms and nurseries are open to visitors and earn from tickets, souvenirs, and shows. Snake shows in Thailand with cobra charmers have become part of the country's tourism industry. Millions of tourists each year go to watch what, logically, they should be most afraid of. Interestingly, it is the fear and attraction simultaneously that makes snakes so appealing to tourists. Psychologists call this phenomenon a craving for controlled fear. A person wants to experience a thrill in safe conditions. A snake nursery or show gives exactly that. The proximity of danger with the feeling that everything is under control. Another interesting aspect is the role of snake farms in the conservation of endangered species. Many species of snakes are under threat due to the destruction of the natural environment, poaching, and trade. Part of the nurseries and zoos specifically breeds rare species for subsequent release into nature. The Australian Reptile Park, for example, participates in programs for the conservation of some Australian species. The Butantan Institute conducts work on studying the biology of snakes, which helps to understand how to protect them in nature. Science and nature conservation here go hand in hand with the production of medicines. A separate story is connected with how the attitude towards snakes in society is changing as science develops. Just 100 years ago, the only answer to a snake bite in most countries was death or amputation of a limb. Today, thanks to antivenoms created in institutions such as Butantan and the Queen Savaba Institute, mortality from bites has dropped sharply. According to the World Health Organization, about 2.5 million people suffer from snake bites in the world every year. Of these, between 80 and 130,000 die. These figures are still huge, but without antivenoms, they would be significantly higher. The fight is not over yet. The problem is particularly acute in sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and parts of Latin America. That is where a significant portion of the products of institutions such as Butantan is directed. The availability of antivenoms in remote areas remains a serious problem that scientists and charitable organizations are working to solve. Modern biochemistry opens up more and more possibilities for the use of snake venom. A drug for the treatment of thrombosis was created from the venom of the gaboon viper. From the venom of cone snails, which, strictly speaking, are not snakes but use a similar mechanism, a powerful painkiller has been created. Snake venoms are being studied as a potential basis for the treatment of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. The venom of each snake species is unique in its composition. It contains dozens and hundreds of different proteins, enzymes, and other compounds. Each of them can turn out to be the basis for a new medicine. In fact, snakes store in their glands what scientists are only beginning to decipher. This is a huge natural library that humanity has only just begun to read. That is why scientists are so eager to preserve the diversity of snake species. Each vanished species takes with it a unique venom composition that can never be studied again. From this point of view, a snake farm or nursery is not just a place for keeping dangerous animals, but a kind of storage of priceless natural data.
The issue of safety at snake farms and nurseries deserves separate attention. Bites of employees do happen, and sometimes with a fatal outcome. Each such institution develops strict work protocols, emergency aid systems, and constantly keeps stocks of antivenoms. Working with snakes requires not bravery, but professional discipline. Many leading experts on working with snakes admit that they never lose respect for these animals, no matter how long they have worked with them. An experienced herpetologist with 30 years of experience treats a cobra with no less attention than a beginner. It is this respect that allows them to stay alive and healthy.
The attitude of society towards snakes is changing slowly, but it is changing. In countries where they tell from childhood about the role of snakes in the ecosystem, about the benefits they bring by destroying rodents and pests, people treat them more calmly. Education and enlightenment are doing their job. Fear does not disappear, but it stops being a panic. If you look at all this in aggregate, an unexpected picture emerges. The snake, a creature that man has feared for thousands of years, turns out to be one of the most useful animals on the planet. It regulates the number of rodents. It stores substances that save people from death. It is part of complex ecosystems without which entire food chains will collapse. It is this contradiction, fear and benefit, disgust and admiration, that makes snakes so interesting to study. Man has not just learned to use snakes. He has built entire institutions, cultures, traditions, and economies around them. This is perhaps one of the most amazing examples of how fear can turn into knowledge. Snake farms, nurseries, scientific institutes, and natural wintering sites. These are all different facets of one phenomenon. Where nature or man creates the right conditions, snakes gather together. And every time there is a story behind it, a story of survival, science, culture, or simply biological necessity.
We live on a planet that we share with thousands of species of creatures, each of which has its place and its role. Snakes are no exception. Fearing them is natural, but understanding them, that is already a choice. And those people who made this choice, from Bhutan scientists to Irula catchers, discovered something very important for humanity.
Write in the comments if you have encountered snakes and how it was. Subscribe to the channel. It is very important for us.